welcome to the podcast of the Composition and Music Theory Department of the Katowice Music Academy in Katowice.
Welcome, Corina Ciuplea.
Thank you.
Do I pronounce it correctly?
Yes, you did. Yes.
You're a music editor,
yes,
former cellist.
Yes.
How did you end up here?
Here now in this studio is
in this studio, doing a workshop of notation.
Music notation seminar here in Katowice.
Yeah. So basically, my question is how does one become a music editor?
Well, you must be a musician, of course. You must be a electronic geek. Probably you must love computers and being very technical with Sibelius and love going. Or any other software, but love notation and this graphic thing generally. Being a geek, long story short, that's it.
So how was it for you? When was the moment like I don't know, little Corina or teenager Corina thought, don't want to be a cowboy or a policeman or
I want to be an editor
and a music editor.
Well, I loved working in the software since I was in high school probably. And then when I was, after I finished the music university, I did have to write a couple of the cello songs for my exam. I had to write them, rewrite them for different motives. And some teachers from my cello class, they said like, this is a career, you can have a career out of this. And I didn't took them seriously back then. But after I finished university, I started to think about it, and I was very lucky because I started to apply a lot to go with orchestras, youth orchestras, to tour in the world for a couple of years. I wanted to have this work and travel, let's say, with orchestras. And I decided that anywhere I went, in any city, in another country, I would search if there's a music publishing house and I ask them to take me as an intern. So I did this. Everywhere I went, I searched on Google, I took a break from a rehearsal or something like that, and then I went to their offices and say like, I don't know much, but please teach me because I think it might be interesting. And it became very interesting, of course, and I loved it more and more. And that's how one thing led to another, let's say. Now I'm here teaching.
Music notation.
Music notation, yes. But it's true. There's no university that can teach you this. It's only self-taught. Yes, you can learn this craft by working with musicians, with orchestras, studying scores and books. So this is the reason why it's very hard to become a music editor, because of course it's a matter of luck to be in the perfect time and space to have opportunities, of course.
Are there any resources you could recommend for people who would want to try their luck to try to
First of all, I think that this job, nobody goes on Google to search for a music editor. It's something very personal. You don't know how that person works with you. I don't think that many composers or publishers will go on Google to find on websites editors. So I think that it's they ask around people. Yeah, so it's close proximity, word of mouth. I'm an editor. Probably if somebody asks you for a recommendation, you will recommend me, and so on. So I think that you should start working. If you're a student, for example, you can go to your composition teacher and just say, look, I want to learn this craft. Can I edit your scores for free? It's very important to do this for free at the beginning, just to get accustomed with it, to gain some experience, some feedback. It is super important to attend rehearsals, even if it's like chamber music. Go there, see what they don't like. Your purpose is not to have a marked score, to avoid having over notating with pen, to correct some things. So just go there, talk with them, get feedback. Don't be proud. It's normal for you not to know at the beginning many things. So just have an open mind. And then if they start liking working with you, because it's also about the character, how the person is, not only the skills. And I think this applies to any job in the world, So if you're a nice person and you have nice discussions with everybody, they will recommend you further on, or they might use you to work for them. This happened to me also. In Bucharest, I started to work with only one composer from the music university. Then I had to do a work for him with the radio orchestra. The radio orchestra really enjoyed performing from such nice materials. They hired me then for a contract for 2 years. I worked for them as an editor. And then I started to collaborate with the opera house because the conductors, they talk with each other. Then, so
word of mouth.
Word of mouth, yes.
If you're good.
Yes.
But how do you become good? I know some
by
resources,
making
but
mistakes.
yeah, of course. But could you tell people who are listening to this, if there are any books you could recommend or online resources that help you become a better editor?
Yes. So our Bible is Behind Bars by Elaine Gould. That's the name of the book, and it's very interesting. It's very thick and it contains a lot of information. You can start from there. Then you have Facebook groups like Music Engraving Tips. It's a very good resource because almost all the editors from the world are there and they will give you the best advice ever. And then you have also software-related groups like Sibelius groups or Dorico and Finale. You also have orchestration group or percussion group, harp group notation, where you have...
Also on orchestration groups, they tend to send you to music engraving tips.
Yes, that's true. But maybe when you have some technical specific questions, even as editor, sometimes I wonder, is this playable in violin? Because I don't play the violin, so I'm not really sure. So I can ask technical things there because there's no violin group, you know.
So you understand your job also partly as a proofreader. Do I understand this correctly?
Yes, you should not just copy a manuscript. You should improve someone's writing, you know, and the composer, no matter how much experience he is, he might use shortcuts while writing or forgetting things. Your job is to question as much as you can. Don't make changes, but ask the composer what he meant by this or that. Have an open back and forth discussions about notation. And of course, if you ever played in an orchestra, you have a very big advantage because you have the performer mind. And when you look at the score, you know what's going to cause problems probably to a performer.
Yes, and you were a cellist, so
I was a cellist, and I played many years in an orchestra, yes. So for me, it's easier to think like an orchestra musician and to know what challenges they might encounter when they look in a score.
Yeah, because then in a rehearsal, they tend to ask questions for things that could be answered with the score, and you know, time is money, especially like you work in the film industry a lot. So.
Exactly. I work in the film industry, and there, like every second counts, and it's very expensive. But even in contemporary music, I mean, I've heard a lot of composers complaining of the fact that they get less and less rehearsal time with an orchestra than it used to be. So maybe in a program, there are many composers in one concert, so you get a very short window to rehearse your score. So you want to make the best out of it.
Or even if you're like in a program with an important piece like Eroica of Beethoven, so the conductor might focus on the piece everyone knows, and this new piece of music, well, no one really cares about it. If the conductor needs to care, but if the conductor feels that the Eroica is going bad, he will focus to make the Eroica sound good and hope that the people don't really understand new music and ignore if it's good or bad played.
Yeah. No, it is true. But it's important to know that when you have a clean score and a professional score, people will take your music more seriously, and people will notice you more in competitions like jury, for example. I do think it makes a huge difference to stand out from the crowd, so to speak, you know.
I can support it absolutely. Like I told you already that my experience with competitions improved a lot when my notation improved.
Yes, it's like a grammar. Music grammar.
If you look at the score, it looks nice and you understand the music immediately and you don't have to search for the words.
Yeah.
So what does your everyday as a music editor look like?
Well, it's very busy, actually. I have to work many hours, especially because in film industry, well, you have many, many deadlines, unfortunately, and everybody wants things to happen very fast.
Yesterday.
I want this to be done yesterday. So...
let me just add, you have been here for 3 days in Katowice, and you have like 100 unanswered emails for this time. So to give people an impression how busy you are.
And my phone rings nonstop. The film industry is a very tough industry. If you have to, how is that expression? You have to sell your soul, you know. to this craft, of course, because it's not only the skills, but you really have to postpone vacations or holidays, because this comes first, of course. And many people depend on your music, so you cannot say no. If you say no, you might be replaced. So it's a very, very tough. It's hard to stand in it. But in classical notation or contemporary music or with publishers, well, I think that things are works a little bit slower. So you can have like a normal job. But you know that editors can also be like librarians. Librarians can also edit the materials of an orchestra. So if you know the software a little bit and you want to become an editor, you can also join like a librarian position. Sometimes it works together. I got many offers to work as a librarian because it includes editing works for the orchestra that I'm working for, So like composers can send the editable files to me and I make the scoring parts for my orchestra because I want them to be happy, So you can get hired as a librarian in the same time if you want to edit scores, if you like it.
Also, what is the equipment that you work with as an editor? Of course, you have maybe a computer, a laptop.
Many people prefer to have like a huge screen and laptop, and I think that's very good. I don't, because I work many hours per day, so it's very uncomfortable to sit in the same position for like 10, 12 hours per day. And I prefer to switch to stand, to go in the kitchen, to go there. So I prefer to have like a very big laptop.
Yeah, you have a huge, like a giant laptop.
I have a 19-inch.
19, yes, wow.
19-inch laptop.
I didn't know they make this big laptops, but might be. It looks like that.
I think it's 19 if I'm not mistaken.
We can add a picture to the that everyone sees it, how big it is.
Actually, I bought a laptop which it's not in production anymore.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because nobody bought such a big laptop.
It's only for music editors that travel out, change position a lot.
Yeah. So actually, I don't think you can find new laptops this size. You can only buy refurbished one because they stopped the production.
But who else needs such a big laptop nowadays?
Yeah, only me. So yeah, that's why. And I also have to assist many orchestras, so I need my laptop with me.
Say something about that.
Yeah, sometimes in big productions, even if it's an opera or like a big film score that I have to, even recordings maybe. But in concert music, like the conductor wants to make sure that there's nothing wrong with the score, because accidents can happen, especially if you have a tight deadline. You might miss something. Some things might show in the score and missing the parts, and accidents can happen. But if something happens and an editor is not there, everybody panics, because it's a huge thing. And it happened to me. They invited me with the radio orchestra, the company that I'm working with, Europäische Filmphilharmonie. They invited me to assist a concert with the Munich Radio Orchestra, and actually a horn solo was missing from the parts. A solo. I did not edit those scores, but they wanted me to be there as a backup in case something went wrong, and something went wrong. And it was super. They were very lucky to have me there too, because in 2-3 minutes the horn player had a new set of parts in front of him with the correct music,
including his solo.
But if I wasn't, I would have been there. They have to call somebody, explain. It's such a long process. You cannot waste 1 hour of a rehearsal to explain to somebody from another country these kind of things. So I'm invited often to assist orchestras or conductors in big projects. Just it's safer this way.
Corina, notation expert, horn solo savior.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here in Katowice, for joining us for this short podcast episode on Szymanowski Radio.
Thank you.
We hope to have you back someday.
I'm looking forward to it. It's such a beautiful place.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Szymanowski Radio. Please give us a like and subscribe to our channel if you are interested in similar talks about music. Please contact us for all questions and other feedback through our mail podcast@am.katowice.pl or through our Instagram account Szymanowski Radio. Stay tuned!